I'd never been to Abu Dhabi before, and this was my one opportunity to experience the people and culture of that part of the world. Did I see everything I'd hoped to see while there? Nope, not even close. And this wasn't the first time I'd made that mistake and regretted it. But what I did experience was eye-opening and well worth the effort. Strawberry-flavored camel's milk yogurt, anyone? I travel. I visit amazing destinations, stay in interesting hotels, and cruise the rivers and the seas. For over 30 years, I've researched, sourced, planned, and operated group and incentive travel programs around the world. I'm Wayne Waldron, and this is my incentive life. My day began just like any other. My regular driver, driving the same taxi, and the traditional farewell from my neighbors. All with one major difference: my destination, Abu Dhabi. Located at the tip of the Arabian Peninsula, Abu Dhabi is the capital of the United Arab Emirates, or UAE, a federation of 7 emirates that serves as a major global business hub for the region. Fun fact, almost 90% of the UAE's population are expatriates, coming from other countries to live and work. My evening Turkish air flight, DFW to Istanbul, boarded, and we were soon in the air for the 12-hour first leg, arriving in Istanbul early evening the next day. After a 2-hour layover, it was on to Abu Dhabi, arriving just after 1 a.m. on Wednesday, 2 days after I first boarded in Dallas. Clearing customs and immigration was quick and painless. I grabbed my bag, and with my transportation standing by, I was on my way to the Ritz-Carlton Abu Dhabi. To avoid the possibility of having to wait for access to a room, I had made my reservation for arrival the previous evening, meaning my room was ready and waiting for me at 2 a.m. After a 5-hour nap, I was as close to getting on a regular schedule as I was going to get, and by that, I mean not close at all. A major highlight of my daily walk was seeing the Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque, also known as a Blue Mosque, sitting in the distance, encircled by a 2-mile blue path and its grounds. To reach it, I crossed a large parking lot, took an elevated crossover, a 10-lane freeway, and began the 2-mile blue path that surrounds the mosque and its grounds. It was worth every step. Now let's take a stroll through my hotel. Its magnificent lobby, opulent public areas, a grand staircase, restaurants, and a pool area and resort grounds. The view from my balcony over the next few days, and from ground level. My first evening kicked off with a small private reception hosted by my friends at Rocco Forte Hotels. Thank you, Benedetto Consiglio and Mary Chong. From there, it was out to the event lawn and our first taste of the destination, with entertainment, food, and friends at every turn, all while overlooking the magnificent Blue Mosque across the way. And a great start to a busy 3 days. The sun was up and so was I. I'd had my morning walk and things were getting underway for a busy 2 days. This first morning was a whirlwind of welcomes, recognition, insightful commentary, and industry updates. Recognition included two of my table mates, Norma Dominguez with Amstar DMC receiving the Kevin Ford Spirit Award, followed just a short bit later by Raymond Chien with CR Solution and current president of Site China, being recognized as Site Member of the Year. Recognized by teleconference was my longtime industry friend Dana Weaver, receiving the Richard Ross Past President's Award, honoring a career defined by integrity, service, and lasting contributions to Site and the global incentive travel industry. The rest of the morning flew by, with a number of chapter awards and individual recognitions. Soon it was lunch and an afternoon devoted to off-property tours and activities. For the Site Crystal Awards, recognition was on full display as we headed off property to Warner Brothers Studios for the evening, and the winners were While being part of the celebration, for those being recognized helped feed the appreciation we all have for success, for me, the highlight was a guest at our table who wasn't a person at all, but a figure that I grew up watching on TV. I don't think I need to say his name out loud. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Day 3. Spirits were high at the general session the next morning as our final day began. Highlights for the morning included the passing of the presidential gavel to my friend Hassan Dench, Managing Director of Istanbul-based ODS DMC, as the 2026 Site President. Conversations with Hassan always leave a smile on my face. If I had a Turkish brother, Hassan would be the guy. For me, a very special moment was when my longtime industry friend and fellow Site Texas past president, Jonathan Richards, manager corporate events Maui Jim Sunglasses and Zeal Optics, received the gavel as 2026 president of the Site Foundation. JR and I are regular lunch partners at my favorite French bistro back in Dallas. If you follow me on Facebook, you know our pattern. From there, the balance of the morning and early afternoon was a series of educational sessions covering a variety of topics. The sessions came to an end, and departures for the evening's farewell dinner soon began. Transportation was anything but typical for this final evening in the desert. Sadly, due to my flight departure time, I stayed back. But with a little help from a couple of my industry friends, here's a look at some of what I missed that evening. The smiles on the faces of those who did attend tell the story of a successful conclusion to the evening and the conference. If home hadn't been on the other side of the world, 19 plus hours away, I might have rolled the dice, but this wasn't one of those times. Deciding to stay behind for the evening was not easy, and ultimately the timing would have been close, but it could have worked. My longtime friend Michael Friedman, Vice President with Amstar DMC, had also stayed back, and as it turned out, it was Valentine's Day. That made Michael, by default, my Valentine's dinner partner. We both agreed that it wasn't the Valentine's evening either of us had in mind, but like Forrest said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. A few final farewells, and I was on my way. One of the most exciting things about the flight back was the 6-hour layover in Istanbul. If I have to spend 6 hours in an airport, Istanbul is not a bad place to be. I was flying business class, which gave me access to the Turkish Airlines lounge. Wow, it was huge. With a series of chefs preparing food right in front of you, a full-service coffee bar, elaborate buffets with so many choices, a spa, and more. All with the broad, open seating area offering an unobstructed view of the concourse and abundant retail options below. It was like nothing I'd ever seen. Ultimately, my flight boarded, and we were in the air for the final leg of the trip. I was in for one more treat, an onboard chef preparing meals and playing an active role in our onboard service. Another first for me. In what seemed like no time, I was soon on the ground in Dallas and back in my regular time zone. Post-trip, the two things that stood out were the genuine hospitality that I experienced at every turn and the time spent with the people I encountered. So I'll close with a look at a few of my longtime friends and a few new ones I made along the way. Travel is special, and my memories of an adventure always confirm that. Did I mention strawberry-flavored camel's milk yogurt? Say that 3 times fast. I'm Wayne Waldron, and this is My Incentive Life. As always, the one challenge that I experience when I start one of my videos is, how do I tell this story? And while the idea of starting with a plan is always at the top of the list, once the adventure begins, I'm never really ready, and any plan I might have had is in my rearview mirror almost from the moment it's conceived. The bigger issue with the telling this story is that 3 short weeks after I returned from Abu Dhabi, the world has been stood on its head due to cartel violence in Puerto Vallarta impacting travel to Mexico, and U.S.-led attacks on Iran, causing disruption in the Middle East. Either of these events on their own disappoint and concern me. Combine the two, and I'm at a loss for words as I worry about friends that work and live in or travel to these destinations. For the hospitality industry, meetings and incentive travel in my world, instances like these create uncertainty and fear of travel. That impacts not only me and my livelihood, but it has an even greater impact on my industry friends, both at home and around the world. True hospitality doesn't recognize borders, nor boundaries. I'm not going to get into a political or philosophical discussion here. If you watch until the end, you'll see 2 social media posts by longtime industry friends, Lindsay Cullen, Regional Director of Sales with Amstar DMC in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and Hassan Dench, Managing Director of ODS, an Istanbul-based DMC, discussing these events and their impact on their respective destinations. Hassan is also the 2026 president of SITE, the Society of Incentive Travel Excellence, the reason I went to Abu Dhabi. I suggest that you pause the video and take a moment to read their thoughts. They both say it better than I could ever hope to. And with that, I'll climb off my soapbox and try to capture a bit of what made the destination special. Peace. I was getting